keep moving, you go to controls here and set the pause at end to loop back and let her rip. So what you get is, this is the sort of the keyboard or the control panel for this wave that covers in a huge region of space and time. This is just 2 points right here that determine the lattice vectors of the zero lattice that's being made here. It consists of a phase part. It's the zero of that phase cosine, the wiggly cosine, okay? Remember, this is the sum of this wiggly guy plus that very smooth guy, okay? And you can see this one's going this way and that part is going right with it, while this one goes the other way through it. But the result is, if you just follow the now line, is something going very fast, faster than light, but not infinitely fast anymore. And then the group part here, which was zero speed before, is now, well, very fast. It's 3/5 the speed of light. 3/5. This has a slope of 3/5. This has a slope of 5/3. And that, my friends, is the beginning of the theory of relativity and quantum mechanics right there. So that's a very important observation. I'm going to start this one over. Let's reset to 0 here so that you can see it more clearly. It does get out a little bit out of sync still here, but that's the building of Lorentz's transformation basically. But it's Minkowski's graph that tried to make Einstein use, and Einstein wouldn't even reply because Minkowski called it a bad name. Lazy dog, I think that's what it was. Or fat lazy dog, maybe. Einstein was a little overweight. Minkowski was this driven guy, and he was a full professor at age 20. Okay, a real star. And Einstein's kind of this, you know, frat rat.
Professor at the age of 20?
He was really a star. Amazing star.
Wow.
Yeah. And he, basically, as far as I can tell, he just kind of went downhill, and he died in 1909. He was writing to Einstein, saying, "Hey, look at this." You know, shortly after Einstein had his relativity theory in 1905, right, with a bunch of other things, right? And then Minkowski, you know, realizes, you know, people can understand this if they have a graph, right? A graph that shows space and time, right? That's what he did. And he expected Einstein really like it. Einstein wouldn't even reply because he'd been called a fat lazy dog as far as I know.
There's a lesson in there.
Yeah. Yeah. When Einstein used his lower semi, he was a real jerk. And that's what we're finding out from Kennefic's research. Actually, Kennefic is not in charge of the personal part of that, but of course he talks to those people all the time. He's in charge of the actual papers of the library of Einstein.
Most of them tend to be in a consensus about it, though, right? The ones that have done research.
Yeah. You know, history is hard to do because, you know, you can't go back and read the phonons out of the wall, right? They're dead. The coherence goes away. You don't have a record. Now, in the future, if we have one, we'll have lots of records. But then, you know, it's whatever was written. So basically, look at his class notes and see what was going on, and his little notes to himself, and then his letters. But Minkowski dies in 1909. It's 4 years after Einstein's thing. It's about 2 years.
How old was Minkowski?
Well, Michelson's a whole different story, an experimentalist, and he's getting treated very nicely in the United States. He was at Chicago, and the president of the Case Institute of Technology wanted to have him, so he tripled the salary of Michelson. He said, "Find out what he's making. I'm going to triple it."
What was that? Get some motion.
It's like he becomes a millionaire. Well, what would be called a millionaire then, I guess, very quickly.
But then you built to count all the students. Following them over there.
Yeah. So, yeah, Michelson did very well.
But how old
And
was
you've got to realize how Michelson got his results.
He passed early.
Wave interference, right? That's where it's at.
But Minkowski passed early, correct?
He died in 1909.
I mean, like, how old was he?
I think he was, it's hard to say if he was 20 in 1901, and he goes, he's 29, 28.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah,
that-
very young, very young.
Oh,
Yeah.
why, like, I mean, it seems like has a relation, like all his, like, southern absence, his southern development in the science, like,
Mm-hmm.
like it seems like it's a repetitive pattern among very smart mathematicians. They die at very young age. Like Galois, he died when he was like 20 something too.
Oh, you're talking about Galois?
Interesting.
Yeah, Galois, yeah.
Galois got involved in a duel with a Republican,
Well,
and he wrote down all this group theory stuff while he was, I think, in jail.
but why
Yeah.
why they
Then he went out and had a duel with this guy.
why they die, like either for some like
Dumb thing.
misfortune of
Yeah.
life, or
Yeah.
like any like disease or something like that. Why they die very young?
Well, if
They
Einstein had
seem to
stuck
be, like, very
around,
smart in mathematics,
if
but
Einstein
very
had
dumb.
stuck around Zurich,
Mhm.
he would have died, because he was a leftist. He was very left, very liberal.
All sorts of people
So
like that. were
in
really
fact,
good
according to Kennefic, on Germany's 9/11, Germany had a 9/11. Do you know about that? That's kind of interesting. They had a 9/11 that makes ours look like a Sunday picnic. And by 9/11, I mean the let's see, the European way of dating is 9th day of the 11th month in 1918. Okay, that's when we're talking about. That's their 9/11. Okay, and that's when World War I had, it was a real bad war, as if any wars or any good wars. This one was a bad war, and Germany was completely bottled up. The fleet was bottled up. The British were waiting outside to blast their fleet to smithereens. And the admirals figured they were going to be macho. Says, okay, man, we're going to show Germany what they're worth. We're going out there and we're just going to go get them and get whatever happens. And the sailors said, no, we're not. And there was a big mutiny, and the whole system collapsed. The emperor just abdicated, quit, and World War I ended. Well, all this confusion, Einstein went down to the chancellery and got his leftist friends who were in jail out. And then he, very shortly thereafter, left for Switzerland. He could see this was not a place to stick around. And by this time there were Nazis, with the little swastikas going around on motorcycles and doing all kinds of stuff. So it was a mess. pretty hairy history to be working on relativity.
So one thing so did really Albert Einstein came up, I mean, by his own means, like by the, I mean,
Well, he had
the entire work
his family was very, very well-to-do.
Okay, like the
Yeah.
entire work of relativity, does it really belong to Einstein? I mean, does it really belong to Einstein?
It belonged to Einstein?
Yeah, I mean, because Lorentz came up with, Lorentz, like...
Well,
he
it
knew,
belongs
like-
to him in a sense that he realized it was publishable and important. Poincaré had worked it out much more elegantly,
Yeah,
and but he didn't realize that he had something. He thought it was just an interesting game to play with, you know.
I mean, he was a
Hamiltonians.
mathematician after all.
Yeah, and he did very little with it. And who else? There's some other people. It's rumored that Einstein's wife helped him, but that's, according to Kennefic, that's been pretty well debunked. And shortly after this happened, Einstein behaved very badly toward his wife. His wife was a physicist too. And the letters reveal that he was just mistreating her very badly. And they were separated. And then the deal was that she would divorce. Einstein promised that if he won the Nobel Prize, he would give that money to her. And he did. He gave it all to her. But that was quite a bit later that happened. He has to go through the general relativity stuff and then do get the basic idea of the Planck electromagnetism, okay, the quantum side of that going. That's what he gets the
Photoelectric effect.
yeah, the photoelectric effect is explained by Einstein. That's what they give the prize for. The people who were citing the prize were listening to the Germans, who just called relativity Jewish physics. As if it's Jewish, it's no good, right? I mean, you laugh, but that's the way they're behaving. You got to realize,
I mean,
you know, how childishly these people can be. You know, when they're not.
I mean, it's like if I came up with something new in quantum mechanics, and because I'm Latino, somebody
They'd say, "Oh, Latino, that's no good."
Or you're despicable.
Right.
How about that?
They'd say it was really good until they found out, right? And then they'd say, "No good."
That's ridiculous.
Oh, it's terrible.
You hear about it every day in the newspaper.
Yeah,
That's
it's really
strange.
terrible. Yeah.
That would really suck if it was
Yeah.
my case or anyone's
Vickers
case.
just
Oh.
got through saying something about the Jordanians. He calling them scum. That was just here within the last day. So, Niederlander, sort of German.
Yeah. That's humans being lower limbic. Yeah, it's always a battle between the 7 liberal arts and the 7 deadly sins. That's really what it comes down to. One of them is generated by the part of us that we have inherited from other animals. And the thing that distinguishes us from the other animals are the 7 liberal arts, or liberal arts in general. Logic, grammar, rhetoric, that's called the trivium. And then algebra and geometry, that's half of the quadrium. The other half, you know, don't remember, it's good. Kennefic says, I keep forgetting what's in the quadrium. And I say, it's much more important to realize what's not in the quadrium, because there's no physics, no chemistry.
Good point.
Okay.
And then what else?
There's astronomy
Oh.
and music. Music is very mathematical. So 3 of the subjects in the quadrium are essentially mathematical.
Music of the spheres.
Yeah. Well, mainly music of the chord.